everybody. I think it's been a long day and very fruitful discussions. And so our goal here is to summarize everything that has been said. I feel like everything has been said, so there's no point in belaboring the point. We will just try to share a few tidbits from our side, our experiences, but really we're not going to say too much. So I'd like to introduce the panel that I'd be working with or discussing this topic with. And I'll start off with Sylvia Inkoom, who is the Deputy Managing Director at UBA, Ghana. And then Ohenewa Sakyi-Behoe, who is a consulting partner. And also Bridget Opolu-Bossman, who is a VP at Obsidian, Achernar. And then Dr. Loretta Sapon, who is the head of Women's Desk at EcoBank, Ghana. So welcome, ladies. So again, I'm very honored.
All right. So good afternoon, phenomenal ladies. It's my first time here, so I'm very excited. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was just going to be a dash in and out. It's been a full day, and I have learned a lot. I've made new friends. And so it's worth the whole day, and I'm very thankful to the organizers for inviting me to be here. So mine wasn't planned. I have a very interesting story. I did not think I was going to go into finance. I started off with science, and then I couldn't pursue my science dreams of being a doctor. I ended up being a teacher. So I was a teacher of maths and science. And then after 4 years of doing it, it was very rewarding emotionally, but financially it wasn't. And I had dreams of traveling, spending money, visiting places. So quickly I realized that this was not going to do it for me. So I decided to look elsewhere. And then I said, okay, why not go to business school? Because someone mentioned to me that when you go to school of admin, you become a manager. I mean, anything that was going up there was good for me. So I decided to go to business school. So that's how come I entered business school. I am thankful to God for the journey, because it makes you grateful for everything that happens in your life. So for all the people who have worked with me, they would tell you that I'm very down to earth, and it's because of the journey that I have done as a person. So I finished business school and got a job that paid very little at the time. We started a credit reference bureau. We wanted to be the first to do that. So we started working with the late Nana Rekwampim. There was no money in it, but I learned very fast, because we were actually working with bad loans from banks, because we wanted to build credit history, and so that if the law was passed, we'll be the first. We didn't get much money, but I learned quickly. And the good thing for me, and the reason I'm very proud of this story, is that the destination is a point, but the route can be varied. You may want to go to X destination. As long as the focus is there, the route to that destination could be different. And in life, it's actually normally very different for everybody. So mine was to work with someone that was not paying as much. Mine was to start from the classroom as a teacher, but it's been a very rich experience. And at times when I look at my leadership style, I think it leans very heavily to the experiences of the classroom. and how it is that you have to mobilize people, get them to understand things, and still be able to achieve. So I worked there for a bit. There was no money, but through that job, I built a network because we were working with Stanchart, SG, Barclays, and I think another bank, collecting their bad loans. And loans that they couldn't collect, they gave it to us and we're collecting. So I learned how to engage customers and all that from there. Long story short, through a friend, I got to work with Zenith Bank. I worked with Abna at the time, Zenith Bank Fresh. In fact, I think we started before they got their license. Had no clue about banking. We had to learn from scratch. But it was a very interesting journey. She will tell you, we did so much, we achieved so much. How? Because everybody at the time was determined to do something. And for me, if you ask me one thing that has brought me this far, is the determination to be successful. It's so strong that the sacrifices along the way mean nothing. The sacrifices to that destination really don't mean much because of where I want to go. Long story short again, I got a better job from Zenith Bank because of the relationships that I had built with the banks that I worked with in that firm that didn't pay anything. So they wanted somebody in Treasury in Stanbic, and the head of Treasury in ABSA, Barclays then, said, oh, we worked with the lady in that firm. She was so good. Let's go for her. They went there. I had left. I was in Zenith Bank. They took me from Zenith to Stanbic, more than double or triple the level I was. And that started, I would say, the proper corporate banking journey that I have been on till now. It's been a lot of hard work, but I look back at it, I'm very excited. It's still a journey, and I'm pursuing it. So my journey into finance was not planned, but I had a focus, and I think I'm still on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Like most people have shared, I like your story. Because there are several pathways into finance, and people don't know that. There are several careers in finance, but I feel like in Ghana, we are focused on a few buckets. We just think accounting, we just
women. Then we enter the financial sector, which we, happen to find ourselves in. And we still realize that the numbers don't change. I mean, it's an aftermath of whatever inputs that went in our classrooms. So if there were 5 women in a classroom, there should be 5 women on the market. Is that not so? If that is the process that we have to go through. For me, as I said, I am basically a baby compared to the experiences that have been shared here. I was intentional about getting a job, but I wasn't intentional about getting a job as a capital markets trader, which I am now. After my university or my undergraduate degree, I told myself that one of the hardest things that will be for me is to explain gap years. And I intentionally told myself that I have to be somewhere. I cannot stay in the house. I have to be somewhere. Somewhere that, is in line with my ultimate career goal, but then it's not like I'm going to enter and then today I'm a big woman. Even if I have to start from a non-paying position, I was ready to pick it up. But as I said, I was intentional about it. So in terms of the companies that I applied to, in terms of even the interviews that I went to, I wouldn't go for any interview at all, especially if there were certain things that I thought were not for me, I wouldn't. But then again, as I said, I had to find myself somewhere. I couldn't explain gap years. I wouldn't stay in the house for, say, 3 years and then I get a job interview. What were you doing in the space of those 3 years? And I'll say, because I didn't have a job, I was just in the house. So I looked for an internship. my interviews were basically for internship roles because I was juggling the decision of going back to school immediately after an undergraduate or getting a job. Luckily for me, I went in there.
Baby, I think one of the panelists shared that if you were called to be here, then you were supposed to be here. So you are supposed to be here talking with like-minded people and sharing your experience so that other people who look up to you will not just see one type of woman, but there are different types of women at different stages in their careers, and all trying to ensure that we all get to that end goal. We all have the representation. So you're not a babe, you're meant to be here. Okay, so also during the discussions, and like I said, most of the things have already been said, but there was also a theme that kept on coming up, which was networking. People saying that, they had to build their network. And I remember that when I wanted to start work, or when I started work, I would hear people say in a negative tone that, this person is here only because of who they know. This person is here only because of who they know. And it was a negative thing, We never said it in a positive way that the person has the skill set, but, the network got them there. So, Loretta, what is your experience? Because for me, and globally, I know that everywhere you go, it is your network that will open a door for you. So, but in Ghana, when they say who you know, and they say it very negatively, So what has been your experience?
Thank you very much. I believe that your network is your net worth. And that is how come I'm very happy to be among all strong and stronger women gathered in here today. It's an amazing network that I've built today. But it's wonderful and it works. I remember I was working with a consulting firm right after national service in Kumasi, and so we're banking with EcoBank. Growing up, I had 3 careers in mind. I wanted to be an air hostess, a TV announcer, or a banker. And so going to EcoBank, I saw the environment, how the ladies dressed, and I really wanted to be there. I just walked up one afternoon. From my consulting firm to EcoBank was just 5 minutes walk. I decided to walk there with my CV in hand. I walked to the branch manager's office then, and I said, I want to work with you. That day, amazingly, there was a relationship manager who was resigning. And he happened to be in the office of the branch manager that I walked to, the office. He was right there. So he looked at me, and there we had a chat. And I took over from the consumer relationship manager that was leaving. I had been working in and out. I had built that relationship, and it worked for me. The next day, he called me to say, change this in your CV and submit it. So it works. Who you know in this life matters. It is not negative to build a healthy relationship. For me, who you know really counts. And it works for me, and it's working for me. And I pray that we all build good network and use that relationship to work in our favor, because it works. It does work. Thank you.
So, your Rolodex, and always try to build that network. So, we also talk about trying, like you said, you were very excited about how the people dressed in the bank, and you wanted to go into the bank and all that. But once you get in, what was the reality? So I think Ohenewa should take that. What was your reality? As soon as you got that first job that you wanted and you got there, you had expectations, right? So what was the expectation versus the reality?
Okay, so I just want to say that I'm happy to be here, and it's important that this doesn't become another talk shop, and that was the reason why I was actually trying to get out of it, because I've been to a lot of seminars that we just talk and then nothing really happens. I'll tell you my experience. I had actually been doing investment banking outside of Ghana. So when I came into Ghana, I thought that I was ready. I was going to conquer the world. I'd been working with investment firms, and I thought I had experience. And then my first job, I didn't get in. I was rejected, and for some flimsy reason. And I had to do a couple of interviews, and I got into a commercial bank. And coming from an MBA outside of Ghana and also in investment banking background, I thought that I was ready for commercial banking in Ghana. The reality was that Ghana was not ready for me. So I got a management trainee role in one of the banks, and I was put in the branch. And the gentleman that I was given to work with, he used to call us MBA4, you know. And for the first 6 months that he was supposed to train me, all I did was washing his spoon, running errands for him. And so the reality just hit that, look, to be able to get people to teach you so they don't get the impression that you're coming to take their job, you needed to humble yourself. So anytime he would come in, I would ask, should I get you water? Because I needed to learn the job. And so after some time, he realized that I was very humble, and he taught me everything that I needed to know on that first schedule. Eventually, when I became a head of one of the desks, he actually came to me for training. And I trained him, and I reminded him, do you remember that when I came in, you were sending me to wash your cup, fetch you water, and all of that? He said he remembered that very well. So for me, it's about, if you want to learn and you don't have the experience, the people who have the experience on the job, they will teach you when you humble yourself, and you will learn a lot of things from people who are already in the system. It's not about educational background, it's about experience on the job. Yes.
Thank you. It's about experience. Also, in my research and planning towards this discussion, I came across several numbers which have been shared already, several articles. But one of the things that was shared in the last discussion was how the way the pyramid shape of women entering business or finance is like. And then at the bottom, where you have the most women, you find them more in more administrative type of roles, not really strategy, sort of like just admin roles, okay, or front-facing client service type of roles. Now, a lot of technology is evolving, right? Technology is evolving very, very, very fast. And I feel like very soon it's going to, even though we have the women there, it is going to sort of take them out, because it is replacing what they want to do. The other day I went to the bank. There was no need for me to even fill a paying slip. I just had to go to a machine and type in my details, submit. They called me, I just went, deposited, and went. So we've taken away a lot of those roles which traditionally seem to have been reserved for women. So what is the plan in terms of helping women to be able to innovate so that they don't die, because they're going to become obsolete? You know, what would you say to a young woman who's in one of those roles? So what would you say to that person? How would you go about innovating, making yourself relevant so that you don't become obsolete?
Share, Mike. Yeah, good. So I think that first and foremost, before you even start evolving, you should have built a brand for yourself. When somebody says Abna or Ajwa, they should have a mental picture, or they should be able to define you. That is when you have occupied your space. That's where you even start from, before you start evolving. Like our favorite products, Apple, Samsung, and all that. They have standard features that we love and we buy into. And once that is done, they start giving us different versions of themselves. So I think the most important thing for us women is to define our brand. That speaks to a lot of the things that have been said already. You must learn. You must be consistent. there is something about consistency that creates the right picture of who you are to all the people who deal with you. You can't be up today and be down tomorrow. You can't perform very well in a meeting today and the next day you have no clue what's happening. So you must be consistent, meaning that you should be learning. You should be preparing and over-preparing. I have a business manager who will tell you that until they call us that it's our time to present, the presentation is not done. We keep working. I have the final paper and I'm still working on it. So over time, people know that when they call you, they expect something. That is the beginning of being relevant. And then you can upskill. Reading about things that pertain to the work you do and even outside of your core job. So that when there's a shift and one day you come to work and they say your role is no longer there, you can quickly be adopted into another team. But if all you do is treasury, I'm a global market salesperson. I buy, sell FX, that's all I know. You have no clue what happens in risk. You have no clue what happens in the back office. If for any reason there's automation, then you are not relevant. So learning, getting to know what you do and even what others know makes you very versatile. Then you can start adding new skills just to keep up with the changes that are happening. I like to work with younger people. Peggy is here, she'll tell you, in my team I had very brainy boys and girls from Ashesi and around. Why? Because I wanted to learn from them. It was a deliberate thing. You won't understand, but I knew why I was doing that. They know all the shortcuts. If you want to all screen print this, they will do it for you. They will link the cells for you. So quickly, and one of my business managers actually said that, Sylvia, if we pick people your age, your computer skills is there. And because I was constantly learning, reading, so I think once we find our brand, invest in the brand, then we can start upscaling. Reading. I mean, they've said so much already, no need to belabor the point, but reading, getting information. Information is really what is the new currency now. Once you have information, you will be needed. I left Stanbic 18 or 19 months ago. Every now and then somebody will call me and say, oh, Sylvia, we are doing this, we miss you. That's really where you want to be. And once you are there, whether technology or not, there's a way you adapt. And mind you, I don't believe that technology is going to wipe out human beings. Technology is going to create new escapes. You would require new skills to work with technology, but there will always be a place for people.
But the key is to invest in yourself. So over lunch, we had some interesting discussions at my table, and one of the things that we spoke about was women working together. And I think somebody had asked that how, if we're in a role that is not serving us, how do we come together and start something new on the side? A comment that came up was that, women, dear, we have our own issues. So that's to say that there's also something in the back that is sort of holding us back from embracing each other and then moving on to sort of do better collaboration. So in your mind, Loretta, do you think that we are somehow competing with each other? Do you think that we are competing with each other, or is it perceived that way,
I believe we can do better as women if we collaborate together. A strong woman stands up for herself, but a stronger woman stands up for herself and many others. And if Ghanaian women, if all of us gathered here would realize that and say that behind every successful woman is a tribe of other women cheering her up, then we could do much more than we are doing now. So it is just... Thank you. It is just a matter of we recognizing that I have this, but I've been a hard start and much more. We recognizing the efforts of the role and skill sets of the others. We can do much better if we are intentional and we are conscious of that. I want to be a growing, contributing human being in this world. And so in 16 years at EcoBank, I keep looking at different roles and different skill sets, what I can bring on board. For the past 16 years, I've been in marketing, sales, and this year, I want to work with women. This year, I want to handhold many women to say that we can do it together. Let's grow financially, let's grow non-financially, so that together we can build institutions and wealth that last. It's sad to see many companies owned by women does not travel the next generation because we don't collaborate. And we are not doing well as Ghanaian women. And so if today we all hold that challenge, and like you said, this is not a talk shop, this is to say that the best time we could have done this was 20 years ago, but the next best time is now. If we can all collaborate and put our skills together and say we can do this as women and be there for one another, then we can.
It's time for collaboration. Are you taking that challenge? I know I am. So let's try to start collaborating. But another thing that we spoke on that table, and I think that lunch discussion was very insightful, was the lack of capital, or how to invest in yourself, one, and also how to take a leap of faith, sort of to step away from something that is not serving you well now. Because we find that when you go into, especially the banking industry, like we said, at the bottom of the pyramid is full of women because they're afraid to take the next step. You know, you have to want to take the step for somebody to push you, right? So how can we go about, one, ensuring that women are able to uplift themselves, push themselves out of that last row? That's one thing. And then how can we become stronger to say, okay, I want to stop this and move on to the next thing?
Okay, so at the table, we actually were looking at the market itself, because if you ask me, if women are going to get together and do extraordinary things, we need to look beyond our immediate market. We need to be able to expand the market, because if you're in a bank, for instance, and you are serving a certain customer needs and you want to get out of it, if you don't take care, you'll be chasing that same customers that you were dealing with at the bank. So what we said was that it would be good to look beyond the corporates, to look beyond the SMEs, to go to the unbanked. And I mentioned that I'm doing something very interesting with women in cocoa farmers, women. So we are trying to do financial inclusion, financial literacy, helping them to save, helping them think about pension and all of that. We know that Cocoa Board have been talking about it for a while, but nothing has happened. So if you're dealing with such women, it's important that you start the education from there so you can expand your base.
Okay, so we'll start the education from there. Another thing that I read was that, I mean, like you said, we are the single most unserved group when it comes to funding or financing your projects and things like that. So how do we go about, you know, apart from the informal sector, as a normal person who is in the formal industry, how do you go about empowering yourself? You know, how do you go about having that savings culture? Because one of the things that was said at that table is that we don't save. Okay, and how can you invest in yourself? Sometimes you need some funding to be able to invest in yourself. You need funding to go to school. You need funding to subscribe to that BBC or Bloomberg and all those things. You need that extra funding, right? So how do you go about starting that savings culture? Because once you have that, then you can go and tell some other person in the informal sector. So how do we do that for ourselves?
So we indicated that we need to plan. You need to have a financial plan. And if you don't know how to do it, you need to go to the expert and they would help you do it. There are a lot of women who have the know-how to help you plan your finances. And let me just share something. I know this young lady who lost her husband at a very early age. And she was left with two young children to take care of. I was not able to go to the funeral. And when I met her, I wanted to give her a donation. And I told her that, why don't you put this money in some kind of investment? I know that other people would give you money, but make sure that you save some of it for the children's education. And Abna, permit me to mention you. This young lady came and said to me that I've met this lady, her name is Abna, Nimet Capital, and she's already been advising me to do this long before my husband even died. You know, and I was like, wow. So there are women who are actually helping other younger women plan their finances. So Abna, Nimet, thank you very much. I thought that I should mention it here. So it's important that, I mean, those of us who are already there are other people who need the kind of hand-holding, this kind of support. If I had had that in the beginning, I'm sure I would have been a better person by now. But there are a lot of other young people out there who are also waiting, expecting that somebody will hold their hand and help them along that journey. So we need to plan, and we need to make a conscious effort of planning and a conscious effort of saving. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think I would agree with that, because I also am in investment management, so I understand the importance of planning, importance of investing, importance of having that goal and then working towards it. So thank you. Thank you for that. Loretta, did you want to say something here?
I want to say that what we pay attention to also grows. And if we are intentional about we putting monies aside, then it will grow. Monies that don't come to us, we don't spend. And Ghanaians, we've made and proven over the years to be magicians. So let's set standing orders on our accounts. If you are paid, for example, set the standing order to coincide with the date of your pay. Okay? So if you are paid on the 24th of every month, set the standing order to say that on the 24th, 1,000 cedis, 500 cedis, 100 cedis will move from your account into your savings account. And by that conscious effort, by that consistency, you will see that you are saving and it's growing because your money is working for you. It is not just even sitting in a savings account, but those savings that you are setting aside is also working for you. So let's be conscious about that. Let's talk to experts, let's talk to banks, investment companies, so that we can grow our monies that we are putting aside.
Thank you. So please, ladies, let's empower ourselves. A lot of women, we find ourselves stuck in positions because we are not empowered financially. So taking that first step to empower yourself financially is investing in yourself. And then you're able to go on and do those other things that you want to do. Now, another thing we spoke about is just as women, are we able to critique each other, and are we able to accept that criticism? So, so Bridget, at your workplace, if someone did something, another woman, and you wanted to sort of let her know that, hey, you could have done this in a better way, how do you go about it? And in your experience, are they able to accept that critique that you're giving to them?
Okay, so I think another problem that we have as women is what I say, are we vocal enough? It's not necessarily about you being loud, but when you speak, as a head, how do you speak? Not just by mouth, but by actions. We are in a world where we are consistently being made to apologize for being women. If a woman stands up for herself, she's seen as bossy, she's seen as aggressive. same traits that would be, praised if they were seen in a man. But in a woman, it's it's not desirable. So we have to consistently unlearn certain toxic narratives, certain things that has been handed down to us in the course of our career. Being told that you are not supposed to speak on certain matters, just go with the flow, accept things as they are. We gathered here, at least we can make that change. We have to make sure that we are standing up for ourselves by being vocal, not just by being loud, but make sure that by our actions, our words, whatever, we are making an impact. We are saying no to the things that we really want to say no to, and we are saying yes to the things that we really want to say yes to. It's not just by nodding and accepting it because it was pushed onto you, but as has been said consistently, raising your hand and saying that I know I'm qualified, I want to do this thing, I don't want to do this thing, don't bring it to me. We have to do these things as the men are doing it. It's okay if a man does it. It's okay if a man says, no, this role is beneath me. But if you were a woman in a workplace, you are expected to kind of carry everyone along. You are expected to nurture, even as you are nurturing yourself. It's good to pour into others, but make sure that you are first filled. If you have to say no, there is nothing wrong about it. We have to come to that consciousness that no is also enough answer.
Thank you, Bridget. So in wrapping up, a lot has been said already by all the wonderful, phenomenal ladies before us. And so we're going to wrap this up so we can get going, go out there and do. Because they say we've spoken for years, every year we come and talk, and we're not seeing a lot change. So we won't talk too long. We want to end this conversation now so we can go out and do what we've learned today. But before we go, I want to go around and sort of take some nuggets of wisdom. Okay, so, and Sylvia, what would you say to young Sylvia, 18-year-old Sylvia? What would you say to her?
I'll tell Sylvia to be audacious. There is nothing wrong with wanting the good things of life and working hard for them. So I'll tell Sylvia, look at the challenge and take it head on. I'll tell Sylvia that it's good to be beautiful, but it's even better to be smart. So yes, you're a lady, you must put time into how you look, but put time into the value that you bring to the people around you, because most of the time, especially starting our career, there's the tendency to overplay the looks and underplay the value that you bring. So I'll tell young Sylvia, learn. It's nice to be beautiful, but it's nicer that you are intelligent and you add value to the conversation around you. And the last thing I'll tell young Sylvia is that whatever she wants, she can get it if she puts in the effort. Thank you.
One more from Bridget.
Okay, so this young Sylvia has heard you, ma'am. Yes, so what I would add is, as Ohenewa said, it shouldn't be just a talk shop. It shouldn't be just another set of women meeting and saying that we want this, we want to do this. And then we come back to it 5 years later and realize that even though the conversations were hard, even though the suggestions were made, we didn't see impact. As we are moving out of here, we've all learned something. They've been saying learn, 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 learn. But we also have to unlearn. Anything that doesn't work for us today and what we think won't work for us 5 years from now, we have to unlearn it and replace it with something more beneficial. If in your career aspirations, you think you're towing a line that's, it's not going to be of benefit to you in the long run, this is the right time to put it down. You don't walk out of this room, join us 5 years later, and then we realize that there hasn't been change, especially on the things that we've made mention of. The most important thing of all that I've learned here is to keep the door open for the next woman. We are all we have. The men are speaking up for themselves. They don't even have to do it. But we have to be conscious about it. We have to be conscious about our growth and be conscious about the growth of other women. So yes, as we leave here, we have to make sure that in whatever capacity or role that we serve, we leave the door open behind us for the next generation.
So I would say this to my younger self, and maybe at another time I would give some information as to how I happen to be in banking and finance. But what I would say is that you can do anything if you set your mind to it. Anything you want to do. Once you decide it, you can do it. You need to make the time. You need to show up. You need to build the needed skills. You need to network with people who will help you build those skills. You need to take it in your stride. No rush. We are not in competition with anybody. We just want to make an impact. So take it in your stride. Nothing comes easy. Humility, hard work, resilience, standing up for your values will get you to your needed career destination. Thank you.
So, young Loretta, productivity is a way of life. Success is achieved through the little mundane activities that we find doing every day. It is not one spectacular activity that happens to us. Success is gradual. So let's be patient with ourselves, but stay consistent. If we are consistent with what we do, and again, I will repeat that what we pay attention to grows. Know what you want. Know who you are, what you are made of. Work at it. And through consistency, through hard work, through preparation, through planning, through prayer, the sky will certainly be the limit. Show up.
So thank you, ladies, for these insights that you have shared with us. I'll end it all saying that a lot has been said. So let's go out there, let's be deliberate, let's be intentional. In the words of my alma mater, let's toughen up. It's not easy. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Nobody said it was going to be fair. But you need to be meticulous, you need to work hard at it, and you need to know that it's not a meritocracy. There are so many things that have to be done. You have to network. But at the end of the day, toughen up, stay consistent, and you can do it. Thank you so much for your time.